What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It is 3 p.m. and we've got a whole heck of a lot to talk about. As the title suggests, though, there is a major warning I want to talk to you guys because there are lots of lies in the crypto space. And we want to make sure that you are thinking critically and for yourself and not just listening to every piece of FUD or FOMO that gets thrown at you. This is all a part of the game of the manipulators to confuse the crap out of the average retail investors so that they buy the tops and they sell the bottoms. All the while, the long-term holders, the whales, the institutions, they get to be the ones that buy the bottoms and sell the tops. So make sure you watch the entire video because we are going to be talking about what the future looks like for crypto and how to know what to ignore and what to pay attention to over the next couple of months. With that said, though, first of all, you guys got to go ahead and smash that like button if you are ready for the show. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we got to roll our intro. What it do, T-Shroom? We had a good show this morning. How you doing so far since then?
Better than I deserve, Tim. That's I'm switching it up. It's definitely better than I deserve. How are you? How are you, Tim?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good. I actually got to run home in between shows, spend some time at home, did some work from there. Little Brody's got I think I told you guys this morning. He has a allergy to something. We got to figure out what it is though. He's got these little spots all over his body. His hands are a little swollen, but he's still playing like a little trooper that he is. So that was very much fun. Reading chat here. Username says, "Jokes on them. I cannot be confused if I'm confused every single day," and that is kind of true, I guess, somewhat.
It's like The Incredibles. If everyone's confused, then no one's confused. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like confused Inception.
Yeah.
You can't confuse me. I already confused myself. That's like there's some things that I've heard in pop culture that I'm like, you know what? I'm probably not going to copy that, but that was hilarious. Kevin Hart once said that he prepares his kids for bullying by bullying them at home, and that way, when they go to school and someone makes fun of them, there's nothing they haven't heard,
Right.
So you can't confuse me if I'm already confusing myself. Pretty much is the moral of that story. I agree with your name. That's pretty good take. Yeah, good old Kevin Hart. He's one of the better comedians of our current generation. We're not here to talk about Kevin Hart. We're here to talk about crypto. We're here to talk about market manipulation. We're here to talk about what's happening in the markets because there is a lot of things that are bullish happening right now, and yet we're seeing prices kind of show us a little bit of mixed bag. So make sure strap on in. We're going to cover all that and more, but we got to start off by looking at the crypto bubbles. What's up? What's down? Mixed bag here in the last 24 hours. You do have some large green projects like what is Mantra? Okay, Mantra right there. Near is up pretty decently. ADA's up. XRP's up. Stacks. It's actually down from this morning. If you watched our special edition morning live show, Stacks was up pretty significantly. It's still up 7.6, but down from where it was. ICP is up. Arweave is up. I'll tell you this, guys. I heard a rumor about Arweave. Not Arweave. Man, I'm thinking Aerodrome. Where's Aerodrome? I almost mixed up my A's. I heard a rumor about Aerodrome being picked up pretty heavily by Coinbase. We'll have to look into that in the future, see how much truth there is to it. But Philcon, according to who was it that said Philcon?
Filecoin?
No, but he called it Philcon on purpose. I don't know if he did it on purpose. Jim Cramer coining the Philcon and the Cardano or something? I don't know. He had all
Cardano. Come on.
Cardano.
All right, real quick. It makes sense that Coinbase would buy Aerodrome because Aerodrome is a layer 2 DEX on Base, which is the layer 2 for Ethereum.
Not just buying it, but I'm like, it sounds like the rumors I'm hearing is heavy investment into Aerodrome. So we're going to have to look into that and see what's happening there and more. Let's go ahead and take a look. Starting off with Bitcoin, though, what is happening? It's still a positive day. We are ticking up here at about $57,800 currently at the time of making this live stream. It's been a volatile day, though. If we were to come all the way down to the hourly chart, the good news did spark a nice rally this morning. Did not get above, really. I mean, we technically got barely above the highs from over here. But as a whole, we kind of saw a double top up here, close to around 59,500. Bitcoin then, of course, would shoot a massive wick right there on the hourly candle. And now we've come back down to cool back to a former level of resistance. We've now twice turned into support. What does this mean? Well, I'll start off by telling you there is some signs or reasons to be short-term bullish after hitting this support level. The first thing I'm looking at here is we definitely have ourselves some bullish divergence where the oscillators sit a higher low, but we kind of matched bottoms here on the actual price bottoms. It's not the strongest form of bullish divergence, but it is a sign of reloading for strength of a move back to the upside here for Bitcoin on lower time frames. Let me fix this right there because the MACD still sitting in there kind of neutral. The negative side effect here on the hourly chart, though, I will say is a rejection on the 50. So for the bulls to feel firm about being back in control, you always want to be above that 50 level on the RSI. Moving on up the 4-hour chart, it's showing us some levels of bullishness, but some levels to potentially be concerned. Well, we're hovering around 50 as support at the moment. This is the one that gives me a little bit of pause as far as could Bitcoin be about to have a nice pullback here over the next couple of days. Reason why, money flow right now is very, very positive. However, you see in here this little sea of light green. That is what we call excessive buyers. A lot of people coming in, especially with this good news we got this morning that inflation is lower than expected, and it should long-term cause interest rates to drop. And we're going to talk about interest rates today as well. We're going to go deeper in that later on in the show. But my personal belief, that should be bullish for the price of Bitcoin and others. Well, these excessive buyers that I'm seeing right here on the Luxalgo indicator here, the oscillator, they usually imply that while there's excessive buyers at the moment, we could at any moment tip down to the downside. We've got a red reversal in play. We're under bearish momentum. If that money flow goes negative, that would be a 4-hour sell order, in which case it would not be surprising to see the price of Bitcoin drop back down to lower levels. We're under a sell order from this morning that could say 55,000, possibly even all the way down to 52,800, could be back in play even in the next couple of days. I also want to bring to your attention the reason why we are not yet waving the bull flag of confidence just yet, even though there's a lot of signs pointing that way, is because when I move over to my liquidations chart, we still are holding a high amount of liquidity where all the way down here to roughly 50,000. It technically goes a little bit lower, down roughly to about 49,000. But my point overall is, while there's a lot of reason to look to the upside, and I do believe the worst of the big pullbacks are over, that does not necessarily mean the bottom is in. There's absolutely a chance that that is the case, that there's a chance that back here on July 5th, we hit the lowest Bitcoin would hit again, down towards 53,600. But there's nothing necessarily right now in the chart saying it would be impossible to go back down to 50,000, which does spark a question. Someone asked me the other day, what is the number in my mind that I'm looking for to be confident that the bottom of Bitcoin is in? And it's going to be a little higher than some people want it to be, but it is what it is. And that number is going to be somewhere up here closer to $64,000 to $65,000. There's a couple of reasons as to why. We have some multiple levels of resistance in that area, depending on what time frame you're looking at. Let's go back over here towards 8. We have a lot of order blocks right in this level that we can pop up above. We turn those into levels of support. But as a whole, this also going back to the last couple of months of this sideways action, this has kind of been a very significant level here. It's actually a little higher, I guess. It's closer towards 67, but this is the point of control over the last couple of months. This is where the majority of money has been trading in the time frame from back in early February or late February, This needs to be reconquered for the bulls to be back in control. Otherwise, these continue just to be served as good sell orders. Ultimately, we can bounce back up, have a great take profit for short-term long positions, and then come back down for new lows, right? You're also going to see that's going to put us above the resistance level of this falling trading channel. A bullish formation, something that tonight, if you're a VIP trader, we're going to talk very heavily about formations. I'm going to do a lot of teaching in our private stream for VIP traders about how to trade formations and what they mean. But as a whole, I know a lot of people wish that we could say right now, boom, bottom in for sure. Go ahead and go buy some Bitcoin because we're going nowhere but to the upside. But unfortunately, there's not things on the charts that are telling us that's the case. I love the news that's coming out right now. I love how the long-term bullish play for Bitcoin looks. But when I'm looking at the chart short term, and when I understand how manipulation works, and we're going to talk a lot about what that manipulation means, I understand how we can be extremely volatile and shaky in the shorter time frame periods. So while there's a lot of people shooting, sitting on top of their roofs right now, celebrating Bitcoin's back, the bull run's back, and I completely agree with them that the bull market's going to be amazing. Anyone who's denying the possibility of lower price action coming is living in a little bit of a space of denial themselves, because that's not necessarily the case just yet. When I am confident, again, I will let you guys know for certain. But for now, I would tell you to continue to buy every dip of Bitcoin that you can. Nobody knows for certain where that bottom will be, but there still is heavy evidence that 50K could be in play. Now, let's get into that talk about one of the things that has been pushing Bitcoin price down for the last couple of weeks. This is a story that actually should lean a lot of people to be more bullish. And we once again have to throw it back to news coming out of Germany. But for the first time in over a month, the news coming from Germany isn't more price suppression. It's actually the signs of the suppression coming to an end. T-shirt, what's happening right now with our German compadres?
Absolutely. Well, you can see
the wrong term to use.
Compadres? Definitely not even close.
Isn't that a Spanish? It's a Spanish term, and it's what would the Germans be?
I don't know.
The German friends.
Special friend? I don't know.
Special friend.
Oh,
what's it?
Let's get into it here. You can tell it graphically. The balance history of the German Bitcoin holdings is very difficult to see because Tim is hiding it. One moment, please. There we go. You can see it's kind of coming to a close here. The headline is Germany now has under $285 million worth of Bitcoin left to sell. Of course, that may sound like a lot to you because it is, but they started off with 3.2 billion, I believe. So they are now irrelevant, right? This story is now mostly behind us, right? So unless they just buy a whole bunch back and then sell it and dump it on the market a month later, Germany has exited the chat. And is that bullish? It is. Why? Because now the market can start to reprice other narratives. It can reprice other forces on Bitcoin, whether they be bullish, whether they be bearish. The German selling of Bitcoin market force has now reached its conclusion, right? Why Germany sold? We might get an official statement at some point, but at this point, there's theories from conspiracy theories that like they're trying to FUD Bitcoin in some way to protect the euro, all the way to what I think is probably the most likely, if you use the Occam's razor, that they just want to build bridges, right? They need money, they have money, they're going to sell the Bitcoin, they're going to build bridges and feed the children, so to speak.
Well, and just in case there's anybody out there, I'm imagining there's not many, but in case there's anyone out there that's lost and is just for the first time hearing that Germany had Bitcoin that they were selling, not only like just a couple of weeks ago, I think at this point 2 weeks ago, they had over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they have continued to liquidate it. And it was one of the main stories of FUD driving Bitcoin price back down. But the good news here is, again, yes, 200 million is still a lot of Bitcoin, but nothing compared to 2 billion. They are down to 10% of what they had within the last couple of weeks. That selling pressure is extremely minimal. What does that mean? That means the bottom is either in or close to in. And again, cannot guarantee the bottom is at this point, but it's definitely very close. I also did some research here, T-Shroom. Fronde. If we're talking about our German friends, it's Fronde.
Hit that sound button.
Well, I don't have it set up so you can hear this sound.
Let's try it. Do it.
Can you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. Fronde. Someone said comrades, but I'm pretty sure that's the way we talk about a Russian.
That's the Ruskies.
Comrades. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Germans went the other way on that one.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, we're going to wrap this up in a pretty bow. We're great on time. I literally said to T-Shroom, I want to be done with Bitcoin and the Germany talk by 3:15. It's 3:14, which gives me a couple of seconds left to say the good news is all of this negative pressure from Germany is now done. It's 3:15. Guess what? That's a perfect segue into our next topic. Why? Because I told you even when the Germany news was coming out that I thought it was convenient FUD and manipulation of the space. We're now going to start talking a little bit more about manipulation as a whole. We're going to take a look at some altcoins, take a look at what they're looking at and what the future looks like for them. But I want to pause and have everyone step back to remember what we have just been through, right? The biggest bearish stories we have had as we have watched the stock market continue to shoot to new highs. We're watching Tesla go on a historic run over the last couple of weeks as well, shooting up. We got to talk about them later. They're cooling off here right now. But as a whole, risk on assets were climbing, and yet Bitcoin and the crypto market were falling. Now, while I believe the entire thing was a manipulation that looks very similar to what happened way back in 2019, I want you to think through what the reasoning was. If you don't believe in manipulation, if you believe that everything has its rational explanation that's not a conspiracy theory, all right, you can make a case. Bruder means brother, Michael. That's is true. I learned a little bit of German a while ago, but it is. All right, let's go back to it. I'm a little ADHD today. If you go back to why Bitcoin is falling, there's two main stories. Germany is selling their over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. The other is that Mt. Gox was going to be giving back Bitcoin on the 5th of July, right? So that was announced early in June. Go to my chart here real quickly. Let's make a point here, T-Shroom, while we're finishing up Bitcoin. All of this news came out. I don't think the price was still up at 72,000, but it was kind of in this range when we were still hovering right around 70,000. We got the news that Germany was going to start selling off their Bitcoin and that Mt. Gox was going to be giving back their the Mt. Gox money, the Bitcoin, starting around July 5th. I told you guys, watch for a potential sell the rumor, buy the news on the Mt. Gox story. That ended up being borderline a perfect call. Again, not guaranteeing the bottom's in. I'm just saying it's coincidental that at this point, if Bitcoin keeps going up, the bottom will be the day that Mt. Gox started to give back the Bitcoin. But that explains Bitcoin, right? I still think manipulation is play. I still think that Mt. Gox and Germany were both convenient stories to manipulate price to the downside. But what is the explanation for Ethereum? Go share my screen right here. That in that same time frame from early June to these dips ended up dipping price 27%. If you went, I'm not going to look at Solana because it wasn't as bad necessarily, but let's take a look at, say, for example, ICP. ICP in this time frame, when no bad news happened for ICP, it dropped in price 53%. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the evidence of manipulation in the crypto space. Because while the stock market and the risk on asset as a whole was pumping to the upside, Bitcoin was falling, which again, the excuse is Germany and Mt. Gox. But why does that mean altcoins need to fall? It's not the reason. Ultimately, altcoins fell not because Mt. Gox was going to be giving back money, not because Germany was selling Bitcoin. There's no correlation there. It's because the crypto market, which had a great run-up earlier this year, in fact, historic run-ups where it hit Bitcoin new all-time highs before the halving event, something that's never been done in the history of Bitcoin. Altcoins, which are not full-blown in altcoin season, had historic runs to the upside. They got overextended. This all was convenient excuses to crash the prices of Bitcoin and some of your favorite altcoins, not because they are not valuable, not because the bull market is over, not because there's not one that's going to be coming. It's because the whales and the institutions, the long-term holders, know how to play the game. They know how to work the retail investor like a puppet master. And they know when to make you bullish so that they can dump their bags on you. They know how to make you bearish so that you sell all of your supply right back to them. Ultimately, we have just witnessed for the last month a grand plan that this one is historical in the four-year cycle. We have watched the grand plan of the whales convincing the average retail investor that altcoins are done and they're moving to the downside. All the while, we're slowly but surely watching the long-term holders, the institutions, the newer buyers bringing that boat back, buying up these dips because they're preparing to make themselves a lot of money. All the while, a lot of dumb retail investors are crying on the sidelines thinking that they've lost all of their money. And by the time they buy back in, it probably will be too late. There's really no other argument for what's happened in the altcoin space. If you have one, let me know. But it's this, if you don't believe in the market manipulation movement, if you don't understand the concept of how whales bring the boat back when they miss out opportunities, we have just gotten a perfect lesson on what that looks like. This, for anyone who did not invest back in 2017 or back in 2014, if you missed the opportunity to watch the great manipulated plays, we now have gotten to play out our own here in 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those coins and what is happening with them. Now, Ethereum, one here, for example, we actually called, I'm not going to predict for certain, the bottom definitely is in, but this was another one. I told you guys, heavy liquidations down towards 2,800, 2,900. Sure enough, that's exactly where it is coming. Guess what's happening right now with Ethereum, though, everybody? From the news perspective, we are witnessing probably a couple of days, maybe a week and some change away from an Ethereum ETF. But guess where the price came back down with Ethereum? Right here in May, on the 14th of May here in 2024, we got the grand news that no longer was Jerome Powell, not his fault, Gary Gensler and his goons over at the SEC, no longer were they going to fight the Ethereum ETF, and we skyrocketed within 1 week from 2,800 all the way back up almost to 4,000, right? So literally just 1 week of price action, we saw Ethereum jump up to the upside based off of hype news. Come on, grab the tool there. Thank you for that. We saw it rally 37, almost 40% to the upside based off of the hype of the ETF coming. Well, of course, the ETH ETF is not here yet, but then since that time frame, we have crashed back down to those exact same levels. Why? Why did we come right back down to the same level that started the hype? Oh, that is because retail bought this dip, not the whales, not the institutions. They want to load up their bags even more. So they allowed you guys to ride this dip, told you to keep on holding. But then as we started to crash back down, they're going to throw FUD stories that Ethereum price could go much lower. They're convincing you to sell before you're in loss just so they can grab the bag and buy these low levels. These are levels that we've been talking about for a while as support. Could Ethereum go a little bit lower if we do see a little bit bearish pressure come in? Yes. I think there's an interesting level here around 2,700 as a whole. But my point stands that this is clear manipulation, that the price got brought right back to the hype cycle for Ethereum. And when you look at our oscillators here on these longer time frames like the daily chart, you're seeing a lot of buying signs coming into play. We've bottomed out here on the RSI. The MACD is about to cross bullish probably within the next couple of days here on the daily chart after being at a low level that we have not seen since all the way back in July of 2022. Right? So that's a historic oversold level right there for Ethereum. But then here on the Luxago oscillator, we literally just a day ago got ourselves, actually 2 days ago, here on the 9th, we got ourselves a daily buy signal, the first one we have had since way back here in May of 2024. Guess what happened in May? We've been through this, but that was back when the hype came in for the Ethereum ETF. We're back to our first buy signal since that place here on the daily chart. So keep an eye on that. Doesn't mean price can't move itself back down to the downside, but this is, again, confirming for me the bottom. If it's not already in, it is at least extremely close. And as I've said several times, I buy good dip levels. I don't buy perfect. I look at this and say, as a whole, we are bottoming out. It's a good time to be buying some more Ethereum and waiting for it to ride to the upside. T-Shroom, before I keep going on with some more altcoins, let me get your take in here. And I want to give it some time. While you're talking, I want the chat to go ahead. We're going to enter into some early Q&A. What coins do you want me to take a look at as we kind of explore the concept of what has been happening here with manipulation recently and how you need to be investing correctly in these coins rather than just listening to the FOMO and the FUD that is posted in your face every day in the news?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get into the next section here. We've got all kinds of different things. We've got PCE. Got a headline inflation we can cover. We've got a headline from a major U.S. bank that I'm sure you've heard of. But we want to keep it here on altcoins. So Tim,
we skipped. You know what? This is what happens when I get into a little bit of a roll. We completely skipped over the big story, didn't we?
I don't think we skipped over it. I think we're ready to pull the trigger on it and dive in.
Well, it kind of referenced back to the Bitcoin chart. But yeah, I see some great charts in here. Yes, in just a second after this story, we're going to come back in and take a look at altcoins. I see people asking for Chainlink a lot, Caspa for sure. I like Render. I want to take a look at Render as well. Matic is a good one. So we're going to go right back into some altcoins. there was some big news today that affects Bitcoin and affects altcoin, and it continues to kind of have this conversation about how manipulation works. T-Shroom, what's that news?
Yeah, I like how XRP Maxi said XRP LOL.
yeah. That's interesting.
You know a community's bullish on a project when. All right, here we go. JP Morgan says crypto market will rebound in August. And to kind of loop this into what you were saying, Tim, is that this is like 4D FUD in my opinion, right? This could potentially be, I should say. JP Morgan, what do? They do a lot of talking, but they also do a lot of real investing. And real investors who know what they're doing and have experience watch what JP Morgan does and really disregard what they say. Or fade what they say because it's usually the opposite is true.
Right.
So Tim, what do you think about this headline here? How would you play this? JP Morgan saying the crypto market will rebound in August. Does that mean you sell in August? Does that mean you buy today? Does that mean you abstain from the market until December? How do you play this?
That is the surface value right here, right? So JP Morgan, a company historically known, and I've said the word historically a lot. We're talking about a lot of history today.
Yes.
I've made the joke before, but I'm not really joking, that I think in the interview process, when JP Morgan is looking for a new CEO, they ask the question, are you willing to lie to your clients? And if the person has integrity and says, no, I'm not willing to, they do not get the job. A prerequisite to be the CEO for JP Morgan and to work for JP Morgan is you have to be willing to lie boldly to your your clients of your brand. And so there is this history where JP Morgan will tell their clients to buy an asset, but secretly behind closed doors, they've been selling the asset. And vice versa, those times where they tell their clients to sell and then secretly they are buying. Just so you guys know, this isn't just speculation. The SEC has literally fined them billions of dollars for finding out about these details. So it's very public information, not just making stuff up out of my butt. It's the history of JP Morgan. They lie to their clients. All right, so when you hear the story that a rally should happen in August, the joke or the surface thought is, oh, that means I got to sell in August. And I don't think that's necessarily the case because I was a little bit discouraged when I saw this because I've told you guys, I think that there's a chance August, we're not going to see new highs on Bitcoin or any altcoins until August, maybe September. So to hear JP Morgan saying this, it gave me a little pause just to say, all right, I need to at least rethink my life. If I'm finding myself in agreement with JP Morgan, what did I do wrong? Right. But it made me stop and think, T-Shroom, what if the lie isn't that Bitcoin's not going to rally in August? What if Bitcoin and crypto do rally in August? But if their thought is they're telling people, hey, Bitcoin will rebound in August, wouldn't that imply that between now and August, which is at least a month, we should be crashing even lower? And wouldn't that imply they're telling their investors, do not buy until August? Well, what if that's all the reason is because actually they're going to be buying right now? They don't want you to buy up this cheap dip because that leaves less on the table for them. Guys, there's only like 5 million Bitcoin in circulation right now. I know that if you go to CoinMarketCap, it'll say that there's 19 point something million, but reality is there's probably only 5 million or less Bitcoin in circulation. So the more you want that Bitcoin, the more expensive it is for JP Morgan and BlackRock and Fidelity and Michael Saylor to go pick up that Bitcoin at a cheap value. So it's the move to say, hey, you guys don't buy until August. That's when we're going to rebound. Let us buy the dip. You can buy in later, maybe when we're back to all-time highs. And I'm not saying that this means for certain we're going to see all-time highs in August. What I'm saying is, though, that's the lie. When I really think about how JP Morgan works, that's the lie. That article implies you should not be buying until August. Maybe that's another ticker as to why the bottom's already in, T-Shroom.
Mm-hmm. And let me also zoom out, right, and give the just completely flat brain, smooth brain, Wall Street bro like take on this.
Yeah.
It could also be just exactly what the surface is that some report came out of some department of JP Morgan that's doing crypto analytics, and they just think that the price is going to be higher in August and it'll continue to go higher in August. Right. Mm-hmm. It could, there is the chance. I don't think that we're seeing this headline because it isn't manipulation. I do think it is manipulation. Yeah. But just to be clear, there is the chance that this is just a surface headline, and there's really there's nothing lurking below the surface of it. There is that. And keep in mind that investors will trade with that in mind. Will trade either ironically on that, kind of sadistically, or they just don't know any better. So, always keeping in mind all the different perspectives of the market. In this case, though, I wouldn't put it past old JP Morgan to try to tip the scales. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of money to be made. A lot of buying low, a lot of selling high. But if you don't have somewhere safe to keep what you're investing in, then it's all worthless. Do you agree with that, Tim?
Absolutely. I want to know in chat, what do you guys think? I see some people agreeing. I see a comment here. I want to make sure you guys, I want to give this its full weight. Jay Constant, love your comment. He said, how do you guys know he's right? He's just thinking out loud. Yes, you are absolutely right, because this is brand new news and we got to kind of digest it. I'm thinking out loud based off of my historic knowledge of how JP Morgan moves, and I'm offering a potential situation for what's going on. Because when I look at the whole grand scheme of things, when you look at the overwhelming bullishness of the ETFs, when you look at the governments trying to flood into Bitcoin, when you look at the institutions and the long-term whales and what they're doing with their money, flooding back in, all signs point to a normal bull market is still coming. We're going up and to the right. So how do you deal with information from JP Morgan like this? I'm giving a potential scenario based off of their historical movement. So, but you're absolutely right. Things could play out very differently. They could be absolutely right. JP Morgan could be telling you the exact truth that we are going to dip down to 50,000, maybe lower until August, but then we'll find a bottom in August and the bull market will continue. That is extremely possible. Problem is, you got to take anything from JP Morgan with a grain of salt and think about it yourself critically. That's what I'm trying to help you guys think through. We're about to get into some of those coins that you guys asked us to do some TA on. But first, got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show. You guys would not be watching the Investing Bros if it wasn't for our partners here. So big shout out to all of them. You guys can see a lot of names up above our heads. But today's sponsor is the Arculus Cold Wallet, the #1 cold wallet in the world. If you really want to protect your crypto, the only way to guarantee no one will steal your crypto from you is when you move it into a cold wallet and the keys are protected by you. If you don't have your keys, you really don't own your crypto, right? So you need to find a cold wallet, but you also want to find one you can trust with 100% of your being. Arculus is that wallet. It's easy, it's fast, it's extremely secure. You need to go get one today. Guess what? When you use our link, BROZ10. Sorry, we use our link and use code BROZ10, BROZ10. You get 10% off as well. Make sure to go get that today. You're not going to regret it. Protect your crypto for the long haul. Do not let anyone steal it, hack it, or get into your centralized exchange. With that said here, let's go ahead and go into some TA. Starting off, I think the most requested was Chainlink. So let's start off with Chainlink. If you guys have not been following the channel for a while, or maybe I see this comment all the time, T-Shroom. We're going to do a TA here in a second. But I see comments sometimes beneath the live shows that say, man, I love your guys' show, but it's really long. Well, guess what? Yes, we have an hour-long live show every single afternoon. But did you know we have morning videos we put out? Like today we had a live show, but if you go back and look at our channel, click on videos. And there's a lot of shorter-term videos you can go and take a peek at. And I recently broke down Chainlink and something very big that is happening for them. But let me kind of get back in here to the charts and take a look at some more stuff happening. Oh yeah, shout out to Username, by the way. We cannot do Chainlink TA and not give a shout out to one of our moderators, Username. I got to go ahead and get this out of the way. Username, go buy some more Chainlink. Thank you. Now we can continue on with the show. Big support has been in play here for Chainlink. In fact, this was a level I told you guys we wicked below it, but I said do not be surprised to find a bottom here around $12. I didn't call this on July 4th. I didn't call this on July 1st. I called this way back early in June when we started to dip back down in prices. I said, hey guys, where are we gonna go down to? I first called right here around 1350. I said that's gonna be a strong level of support historically. And if we lose that level, $12 is the next one to go. Let's just start off by getting out the support out of the way. Let's just pretend that Chainlink doesn't end up rallying and going up much higher. Where's the bottom that Chainlink really could go? I just don't see a world where we drop below $9.50. Why? This is the level, and I've talked about this several times, but if you go back to the bear market, right? So highs we had way back in 2021, we come back down, we have a bear market. Look at this very beautiful trading channel that Chainlink stayed in between May of 2022 all the way until the more recent breakout of October of 2023. Notice, though, where 3 different times we got rejection on Chainlink's price. It's up here at $9.50. So if we fall back down, this is the level we have untapped resistance that very much could still be in play. I'm not saying we're going to go that far, but it is my level of, if you're wondering what's the worst Chainlink can fall and still be in an extremely bullish space, $9.50 is your answer right there. With that said, though, not only was $12 a strong level of support before all this, there's a lot of things to take a look at when you look at Chainlink's TA to say that this is an important level to watch. Now, some are going to say when they look at the oscillators, man, we still have room to the downside. But this is on the weekly chart. And I made this case in the video I just suggested you guys. Go back and watch it anyway. But take a look at the levels that Chainlink is getting back to here on the weekly chart. We're back down into these levels where historically this is where we actually see the bottoming during bull markets, right? So in time periods where we're no longer talking about the bottom of a bear market, we're talking about bullish momentum has happened. Take a look at where on the Luxago oscillator we normally fall back before we find bullish control. No further really than around 31 on the oscillator. And that's almost exactly where we currently are here, in a spot where, yes, here back in May, we went a little bit lower, but that's just about to make this even more bullish. We are back down in a spot on the weekly chart where during a bull market, this is as far down as the oscillator pulls back. Now, you might be saying, all right, Tim, just in May, we were a little bit lower than that. Guess what this means if we do stay above there? I know why I took this down. Let me get rid of my other oscillators. I just want to make this very, very clean. In this time frame between May and now, we have set a higher low on the oscillator and a lower low, if I can grab the tool correctly, a lower low in the same time frame of price action closes here on the weekly chart. What does this mean? This means that the market has bullish divergence. It's overextended to the downside, and this is a reversal call. You actually see this play out in the previous bull market pretty similarly when you take a look back here around December and March of 2020, where we went slightly lower in price action, but at the same time, the oscillator actually set a higher low. Bullish divergence that started off a very, very explosive run into the bull market. Could we see the exact repeat? Well, I'm not going to predict for certain, but it's definitely a sign that you guys should keep an eye on, that this is the same type of formation, same type of signal we saw during the last bull market before Chainlink took off up and to the right. We see whales buying Chainlink at these low levels, but we also see right now a very strong level. This is going to be something that people need to understand. This is a bearish breaker block, this pink level, but when you look at what it's attached to, it's actually a level where there's more bears being exhausted. So at the moment, it's almost like this level around $13, it's like a fire pit that has extremely dry wood sitting in there, but there's been no spark, right? The bears are exhausted in this level, but there's just not enough bullish buying pressure at the moment to ignite the fire. Once that spark comes, and guess who's going to bring that spark? Institutions and long-term holders. Once they decide, all right, good enough, time to get in the bigger buy orders, that's going to ignite, and I'm going to watch with you guys as Chainlink shoots up and starts to set new highs within the next couple of months. I'm not going to say this is going to happen in August. Not going to happen even probably in the fall. My expectation, will happen in the fall. My expectation is sometime around the election season. Do not be surprised if sometime November we're flirting with or slightly above the high of this bull market. But by the end of 2025, you're going to call me crazy, and that's okay. A lot of people call me crazy my entire life. What I have for Chainlink, come on now. My chart is just acting up, everybody. I'm very sorry. What I have for Chainlink is potentially here. This price is by the end of the year between $37 and about $54 by the end of 2024. And by the end of 2025, the low end, $200 on your Chainlink, but high end, $500 to $700 range for the top of the bull market. We are only getting started, but people have asked me, all right, Tim, what's going to make you change your mind about Chainlink and say that 500 or 700 is not possible? It's going to be a combination of things. It's been either time frame. If we're not anywhere close and it's summer of 2025, I'll change my mind. The other thing is for some reason, we drop below $9.50. then I will change my mind about Chainlink. But until those things happen, I continue to be very bullish on Chainlink, thinking it's going to be one of the top gainers as a whole when everything is said and done. And let me just finish up by why I think that is. We're on this whole series today. Remember the word. If you walk away from this show with one word, the word is called manipulation. Who is doing a heavy amount of manipulating right now? It's the newer whale holders, the institutions, right? I'm talking about the BlackRocks. I'm talking about Fidelity. I'm talking about these ARK Invest and several others. They want to buy as cheap of Chainlink, of Bitcoin, of Cardano, of maybe not Cardano because I don't know how much they're going to buy, but Solana, ICP, AVAX. They want to buy it as cheaply as possible. So they manipulate the price. But guess who is super, super big on Chainlink and has already talked about it being one of their main plays in this entire bull market? It's BlackRock. BlackRock has already said Chainlink is one of their top choices for altcoins as they dive into real-world assets. So for that reason, anyone who's saying just because price isn't moving right now to the upside, that the bull market can't be that explosive, they're not thinking critically about how BlackRock invests and does things. They're suppressing price because they want the supply. And once they get their fill, that price will shoot up and to the right, and they will make themselves billions of dollars in profit off of Chainlink in the next year or so. Let's move into we have more coins you guys don't want to take a look at here. We got lots of time, I do think, but we have some super chats we got to address. Indeed. Roland Espinozo. Did I pronounce Espinoza? I don't know why I said O at the end. Is that correct, T-shirt? Am I pronounced that correctly?
Yeah, and I think he asked for Mog TA yesterday in a super chat. So if we didn't get to that, yesterday, Roland, we do apologize from the bottom of our bros.
We'll do some Mog here in just a second. We also had RDXRP1. Here's some money for 10 minutes more of the show. Oh, so you want us to go until like 4:10. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. I do have that VIP trading group that I got to drive back home today to get set up at my home's computer. We're going to be teaching formations. But we'll do the best we can there, RDXRP1. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for, that's right there. He's just desperate for us to make the show longer because he can't get enough of the bros.
Nice. Yeah, neither can I. I think what we could do is prorate it. We'll prorate it out. And for the rest of next week, we'll do 1 extra minute for the next 10 shows. I think that's a good plan, Tim.
Yeah, that's a good plan. This also seems like, because we're just on the topic of this stuff, this seems like a good time to go ahead and remind people, or not remind people, I haven't announced this. T-Shroom doesn't even know this, so he's about to find out for the first time too. I have been negligent in letting you guys know I can't do a show on Saturday. On Saturday, my wife and I will be celebrating 5 years of marriage. July 13th. Back in, 2019, this guy got lucky, and a woman, believe it or not, a woman said yes to spending the rest of her life with me. I'm as surprised as you guys are, but that's what we're going to be celebrating on Saturday. So no live show on Saturday morning, but we'll be back next week. So we have a community trade we need to do. So
what is the expectation? That your boy's going to go live? Because
do you want to go live by yourself? I was going to let you have the weekend. I mean, you're moving, right? You're like in the process of moving your stuff.
That's the only thing is like Saturday is going to be kind of chaotic for me. So
yeah, I think we're just taking Saturday off. I think between my anniversary and you moving, I think there's no Saturday show this weekend.
Yeah, I think we're breaking a lot of hearts right now, bros. But look, we are real people with real lives. Some of us have anniversaries. Some of us are moving our possessions to another location.
Yeah.
DJ Mo believes in us, though. He said, don't worry about how long people think your videos are. You guys are informative and doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all because of you. Tuning in every single day, smashing the like button. You know, I know we remind you guys, but some of you do it without being reminded. And we really appreciate that as well.
Let's pull up Mog here. We got a super chat asking for Mog. T-Shroom, does this chart look similar to anything to you? I want to make sure I'm just not crazy. Is there another coin that has almost like a similar looking movement like this?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Let me just do this. Maybe I'm crazy.
What time frame is that? Daily? Oh, Caspa?
It's not identical. It's not identical. It's
very similar.
It's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never done Mog TA before, so we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be doing this together, but it's definitely different. Rather than having an ascending triangle here, this is actually a bearish formation in play right now, guys. But it's just the time frames, like we're almost identical of the big significant movements. We got a little bit of a rising wedge in play.
Oh, okay.
I'll teach this tonight during VIP trading group. When it comes to Caspa has a flat top rather than an ascending level of resistance. So what you need to know about these formations is 70% of the time or so, 75% of the time, these break to the downside. In fact, what you would do with traditional TA, and I never trade based off of one signal, so we're going to do some other TA here on MOG in a second, but I just want to express this. When we get a breakout to the downside, this could bring the price of MOG back down to, holy cow, that's a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros before you see a 4, 3, 7. So interesting stuff here. Just keep that in mind. We're just going to leave that up there. I don't know for sure that's going to happen. It's just an formation that's definitely in play. Let's see what else is happening. Go ahead. Yeah.
You can do a little more TA there, but let me run through what this is, what this coin is, about MOG coin. It's not just another meme coin. It's a total revolution in the world of crypto. Okay, so it's a meme coin. It's not just any meme coin, but it is a meme coin.
It's a revolution meme coin.
Just if you're new to crypto, seriously, this is a real disclaimer. If you're new to crypto, right? People give super chats to promote coins that they're invested in, whether they be good projects or bad projects. People have donated money to have it promoted. There's nothing wrong with that. We're going to cover it unless it's a complete scam, which this doesn't look like a scam. It just looks like a meme coin, right?
It's a meme coin, yeah.
It is a $600 million market cap, which is kind of impressive, But does that mean this is an investment? 0 days of the week is this an investment. This is a trade if you want to, and Tim's kind of showing you it's probably a short more than anything.
Yeah. Good call there, T-Shroom. Now, I'm looking at these things. There's definitely a lot of support between where we currently are, even on longer time frames. I'm not going to do any short-term TA on this. So if you wanted like an hourly chart, sorry, not going to do it in this video, but we'll do some daily and weekly charts, just seeing what's happening here. Strong level of support here, even though it's coming to the downside. Strong level of support here, those 6 zeros and then a 9-5. That's where we're going to see a stop loss in play for a potential long position, but we hit the take profit. So that's what makes me say that that's going to be an interesting level to look at. It also is where we have the daily smart trail. And if you watched our show this morning, I talked about this on Luxago. This is one of the better indicators to show you who's in control. If you see a blue support level of a smart trail, the bulls are kind of in control. But once that's lost and it turns into a red one, a red level of resistance, the bears probably have a little bit more control at that time, at least on the daily chart, which means for probably the next couple of weeks. Right now, the bulls are still in control. If that gets lost, if we drop back down, probably below this yellow line here, 6 zeros and then a 738, then I think there's a chance that the bears definitely have taken control. And we see that price action come to fruition down here to what I say 6 zeros, then 4-2, give or take. Now, here's what I think. I'm going to go and back this prediction up and say there's a lot of juice to it. Yes, there's support between us and them, but I want you to take a look at something here. That smart trail, if you go back to my screen here, T-Shroom, thank you. That smart trail is descending, meaning the bulls, even though they're in control, they're not gaining and picking up more power. The support level, this is like a moving average, if you will. The moving average is moving to the downside, meaning it's not an overwhelming confidence in the bullish continuation. This bullish breaker block, it's yellow. Look what it is attached to, though, and I got to turn off this one. There you go. That is a massive green bar compared to a smaller, it's not small, but a smaller red bar. These order blocks, what's being communicated is which one, the green is bulls, the red is bears, which side is more exhausted if this price action hits. And in this case, despite the fact that it used to be a level of resistance that was broken through, and you actually used that support once, it's still communicating, at least with all the data that's come out, that more than likely, if price comes back down to the 6 zeros and a 7, instead of being a great level of support, there's actually evidence that this is where the bulls could be giving up and saying, right, we lost it, we're bearish, and we hit this level. While some bears will give up as well, there's more bulls that would give up. So this could actually turn into a continuation of negative price movement down to the downside. But where is the first level of what I'd consider significant support, where it's the bears who are more exhausted than the bulls? It's going to be down here at that breakout prediction, 6 zeros and then a 4-3 or 4-2, give or take. Turning back on these other things, it's also where the green cloud of support will come in here on the daily chart. I've given this one a lot of time, but again, someone gave a super chat. There's also, it's not the greatest order block, but there's another order block in play here as well out on the weekly chart. What I'm interested in, though, the last thing I want to take a look at is where are we when it comes to oscillators? That's not terrible, right? Daily chart actually showing MOG probably going to see a little bit of a boost before that dip comes in. So the daily chart, not looking at that as seeing a sell order coming anytime soon. That almost implies we could get back up to the top of this range. MOG could move back up to 5 zeros and then 2-3 before the crash happens. But weekly chart, let's see what it's saying. Bearish divergence is in play. The MACD is extremely high. It's not that old of a coin, so weekly oscillators are kind of hard to do there. As a whole, what I'm looking at here, guys, I'm bearish on MOG, but not before potentially another good boost back up here. Not back up, 2 new highs in this bearish formation to come back up and touch that resistance blue line once more, and then crash down here to 6 zeros and a 4. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. Now, that being said, this is a meme coin, as T-Shroom pointed out. Meme coins don't always play by the rules. If they get some sort of new incentive or some new hype that comes into play, this formation gets thrown out the window. It's like a new playing field, and they just take off up and to the right. But right now, I'm leaning towards being more bearish on MOG than I am looking for a brand new long position. Let's take a look here at let's do this. 351. We're going to go a little long. We'll go 5 minutes long today. T-Shirt, we have a third thing that we do need to kind of just address. Why? Because today it was the big topic. And again, as we're kind of going through the charts here, we've covered a lot of bullish news and headlines, but we are seeing some still on the charts, potentially some signs of bearish activity. For one, though, we got to go over here and take a look at the stock market. The stock market is responding negatively today, despite the fact that news is saying we should be going up. Guess what that news is? That news is that we got lower than expected inflation numbers. It probably implies that we should be seeing rate cuts come sooner and greater than expected just a week ago. Why are things crashing right now? I'm going to show my chart real quick, T-Shirt, and then we're going to get into our conversation. S&P 500 eliminated all of the gains from yesterday. It rejected on this mid-level of resistance around 5,600. It's now to the downside. Tesla taking a little bit of a dumper. We talked about this morning how it could make its way to 280, but I told you guys I wouldn't be surprised for a revisit of 200. Well, it turns out they canceled the 280 trip. They want to see if they can come back down to 200. T-Shroom, why are stocks crashing despite the fact that we got news today that on its surface should look like it's bullish?
Well, there's a lot of different explanations. I would say that, there definitely wouldn't rule out a coordinated effort. You see this a lot after the Fed decisions. You see what should make sense doesn't happen, and it's either sideways.
What do we call coordinated movements, T-Shroom?
Manipulation.
Oh, there's that word again.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was expecting a different sound.
That's okay. What sound were you expecting, just out of curiosity?
The drum.
Yeah, you got to work a little harder for that one, Tim. Yeah, so they're a coordinated effort by Wall Street to wait for the appropriate reaction. Why? Because they're the only ones who know there's going to be an unanticipated reaction. They have the element of surprise. So boom, let's say there's a Fed, the first cut, right? Should be bullish in theory, and then the market goes down like we saw today. Well, Wall Street coordinators were the only ones that knew that it was going to happen, so they were able to trade accordingly and profit accordingly. And then the appropriate real, reaction, global economic reaction, reallocation, repricing of the market appropriately occurs later. This could be either. It could be either that, what I just explained, or it could be the market going ahead and saying this. And this is from Zero Hedge. This is kind of a mantra in the stock market. If history is any indicator, stocks will tank, not go up, when the Fed decides to cut rates. It's only in the quarters or years following this move that the market finds its bottom. That's why cuts should not necessarily be looked at as an immediate signal to buy stocks, in my opinion. As they say in London, mind the gap between rate cuts and market bottoms. So this is what kind of is baked into the Wall Street mind of how they look at rate cuts. Why? Because historically, there is an argument to be made, a pretty strong one, that when the Fed cuts, recessions ensue, and recessions bring lower asset prices. So, but here at Investing Bros, and I think the growing consensus in crypto is that that may not happen even for the stock market, but there may be a difference for Bitcoin and there could be a difference for crypto. But right now, the 10,000 pound gorilla in the room is Wall Street, right? What pumped Bitcoin in 2024 through the ETFs? Wall Street, institutions, right? So what we have on our side is time to try to figure out exactly what's going to happen here. Is there going to be a repricing to the downside in risk assets because the Fed cuts, which is counterintuitive, but historically that correlation holds and is convincing? Or as Tim pointed out in some of our calls today, in the past, there could be something different this time, right? That asset prices just keep going higher, even as the Fed cuts. So hopefully I didn't confuse anybody more than I parsed out the details there, but
yeah. I'm not going to open up the same can of worms we talked about this morning. Go back and watch our morning stream today. It's about 30 minutes long. You're not going to regret it. I talked heavily about the historical precedents for why some people think we will crash after a rate cut and why that's not necessarily the right thing to think about. I'm not going to rehash that. Here's what I will say, though. Watching us dip after this news is actually very, very bullish. Let me explain to you why. Remember earlier when I talked about this thing in trading called buy the rumor, sell the news, or vice versa, sell the rumor, buy the news. Did us having low inflation numbers today guarantee that a rate cut is coming? No, it did not. But it implies, and it's a playing field into saying a rate cut will come later. If the stock market was going to crash when a rate cut actually happens, more than likely not until September, that news would actually spike the price. Why? Because it would have been a buy the rumor, sell the news release, right? The release is the actual rate cut. If history says we will crash or dip after a rate cut, then guess what's going to probably happen up until that point? You're going to continue a nice rally. But the fact that the rumor now is heating up, we'll get that rate cut for sure in September, and we're seeing a positive piece of news defend that, and the price went down, to me, that's almost actually more like a wave. If you're on the ocean, the wave getting sucked out to sea right before a bigger wave crashes. What I mean is the institutions, the whales, the long-term holders. And I'm not talking about the stock market. I'm talking about I'm not talking about crypto. I'm talking about the stock market holders who have been trading for a long time. They see the bullishness on the wall. So this is the perfect opportunity to manipulate the retail investors who see the news and say, oh, this should be bullish. They send price to the downside, confusing the crap out of you, lying to you, making you think that this is it all over again. There we go, guys. Rate cuts are coming. We're crashing. That means history's repeating. No, it's not repeating because we haven't got the rate cuts yet. They're pulling the markets back to buy another dip so that they can take advantage of the bullishness once those rate cuts actually come. Again, I'm not going to get into why I think it's going to be bullish. I talked about it this morning. But my point is, if prices had risen today in the stock market, you might have an argument to say we would see a dip when the rates cuts actually come. But the fact that Tesla's pulling back, the fact that S&P is pulling back, the fact that NASDAQ is pulling back, Meta, Microsoft, and several others, it actually leads me to believe that this could have been a sell the rumor, buy the news release. That news gets released in September. I think bull markets are still well underway for crypto and the stock market as a whole. Let's take a look at some of those prices, though, here, T-Shroom. Tesla really being one of them. Go ahead.
Really quick, I want to cap that off because you're probably sitting there. You're like, okay, well, you guys are long the market and you have a higher time frame. You have lower risk because you have a longer time frame because you guys bought the bear market. That is a unique position that you're probably not in if you're newer to crypto that we are. Put that simply, we can afford to see price come down because we bought so low, right? So you might be sitting there. You guys are just a bunch of permabulls. When are you going to tell us if we really should sell in May and go away? That is another construct that's kind of built into the Wall Street psyche. Well, if you look at the S&P in May, what happened? What you're supposed to do is sell in May and go away. Well, if you've done that, you at May as the SPY $500, right? By the end of May, it was higher. Is 527 higher or lower than 500, right? So you can kind of see just because there's a mantra, just because there's an expectation, just because it's happened in the past, doesn't mean that won't just be used as manipulation in and of itself. And sometimes it's not manipulation. Sometimes it's just, hey, NVIDIA pumped the market and the S&P went higher. Historically, sell and may go away actually works in theory, but on average, it works. Not in 2024. So 2024, very unique year for a lot of reasons. Bitcoin halving, right? Election. There's a lot going on here. The Wall Street consensus could still be true, right? What Zero Hedge here is saying in their editorial, making a meme out of it, buy immediately after rate cuts, the actual bottom, like that still could be true because of the market. If they're hearing the music, they're going to dance along, right? But if the Wall Street bigwigs, the ones really pulling the strings and manipulating the market, if they want, they can just flip the market and sell to the big guy, to the little fish, right? So just, there's a lot going on here. We do have the advantage of having bought pretty low, so I get it. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Tesla and some other stocks.
And we only have so much time here because it's already 4 o'clock, which means we have 5 minutes left. And we still have one more announcement we have to make before the end of the show because today's the marking of the last day of a very significant thing here for the bros. What's happening here on Lux Algo here? Well, the dip at the moment, assuming that we close here, which we close in about 30 minutes, T-Shroom, right? We're going to close in 30 minutes. At the moment, we have a sell order printed on the daily chart. Guess what I told you guys this morning? I thought we would have a return to the daily smart trail and this bullish breaker block right here in play. We hit the take profit on the long order. It's now a sell order. Look at that level B right there as something significant. If I'm looking at the oscillators, we were 100% overbought, cooling off now on the RSI. Stochastics is cooling off. MACD looks to go bearish for the first time since way back here on June 11th. And then you have it right here. It's not officially a sell order just yet, but we got a reversal. We have bearish divergence. We have a major level of bearish momentum. And that money flow, the green, it's still green. It's still going positive, but it's definitely curving. Would not be surprised to see over the next day or two Tesla go a little bit like this. We get our sell order, and again, we return back to $200. Don't be surprised, everybody, if we do see a little bit of volatility on Tesla, where the price, after dipping down here to 240, has a little bit of a bounce back, maybe even comes back up to like 250, 260, and then comes back down as well. We're definitely seeing the signs that Tesla's run, while it was very, very fun, and it made a lot of people a lot of money, it's a little bit paused for now. We're going to put Tesla bullishness on pause. We're going to come back once we revisit $200 for another buy order there on Tesla. Last one I want to take a look at. Let's take a look at MicroStrategy's actually up today, even though it's a bearish candle. It's because it opened with a 6%. MicroStrategy opened 6% up in the pre-markets. Now it's kind of lurking already to close that gap right now. Again, I didn't even think we were going to be able to get above 1,500 just yet, where we have some major level of resistance. There is a take profit here, so don't be surprised. Like I said, Tesla might pop up over the next day or two, which they have to do it tomorrow because, of course, it's closed on the weekends. Don't be surprised if MicroStrategy makes its way up here closer to 1,455, 1,500, give or take. But this is one, again, bullish oscillators, actually. A lot of reason to see a pump coming in there. But until we recapture that level right there, 1,500, MicroStrategy is still under control of the bears. If we do break that level, look for a move back up to the highs back here in June of about 1,700 here for MicroStrategy. Guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up our TA for today. But you know what else wraps up today? It is the final day of the March for the Life for the Innocent. Guys, this is a challenge that we've had over the last week. I hope a lot of you have been saving up, trading in this entire week. We challenged you guys a week ago that as you reflected on your freedoms back on July 4th, that you use the blessings you have in the crypto world to bless others. Today is the last day. Go ahead and make sure to look at the link down below. I challenge you, any money you made in profit this week in trading, please consider giving that to Life for the Innocent. Every single dollar goes to save the lives of children in South Asia that are being trafficked every single day against their will. They have no say over their own lives, and every single dollar helps to not only save their lives, but rehabilitate them and put them into loving homes that will take care of them. The same way those of you, I think there's hundreds of you watching right now who have daughters, who have sons. Imagine what you would do to go take care of your sons and daughters. Please, please, please consider giving your trading bonuses away. And if you want to do more than that, every single dollar that you feel called and willing to give is something that we would love to collect for you guys and be able to give back to the children. In case you guys did not know, T-Shroom and I, we like to have fun. We talk about crypto. But we ultimately are here for a very important reason. Both T-Shroom and I are very strong believers. We believe that Jesus died for our sins and that he has changed our life forever. And the rest of our life is about blessing and helping others. This channel is all about helping bless every single one of you and help you navigate the financial markets to better your life with generational wealth that will take care of you and your family. But ultimately, we're also here to see the lives of everyone on this planet be better. I think the number one way that happens is through a relationship with Jesus. But even more so, you can't even contemplate a relationship with Jesus when your life is literally hanging in the balance. Please, please, please consider joining us this week. T-Shroom and I are so excited. I think we've already raised a couple $1,000s to give to this ministry. Please give us, please donate down below. Link down below. Today is the last day. Last time we're going to kind of tell you guys about this for a little bit of time. But it is something I urge every single one of you to take advantage of. With that said, T-Shroom, I think it's going to wrap up today's show. We ran the 5 minutes long. We promised to go a little long today. It did happen. Guys, we love every single last one of you guys. Thank you for being here. Come back tomorrow. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. We'll see you. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.